Alright, let's do some obligatory audio tests. 3, 2, 1. And... Alright. I think this should work. I should have some art on my screen that I'm going to be doing. Let me know if it shows up or not. According to the video preview, it does not. So hello everybody. Welcome to the Zephyr Workshop Wednesday night stream, which is generally a gameplay stream, but we had to postpone that for tonight. So hello. Let me know if you can hear me. Da, da, da. And now as I announce that I am drawing art on a bunch of places, please bear with me. Twitch.tv/Zephyr Workshop. So tonight we had a 4-player stream planned, but that's very on Tabletop Simulator, and that's obviously very it can be logistically difficult. So I'm gonna put it off for a day and do the stuff and do this instead. Which is good because we've unlocked quite a few art redos on the stretch goals, and some of them will be by me. And as we gain lots of money in the last week, there will be some confirmed fancier arts by some of our other artists. Sweet. Alrighty. This, and I do this. And then I should probably open our Twitch so I can look at the chat room. But I've prepared... Tonight I will be drawing 2 different robots, or at least trying to start them. Much simpler than the last one. The last one was the ARK-150, which is a humanoid robot with gun blades on both hands, and he's very complicated. He kind of demands a really cool pose. Alright, that's interesting. It seems that my art is not actually being displayed, so let me fix that real quick. I don't really know why. Let me check out this one. If I go over here, will it display on the stream? Nice initiation. Apparently my art's just not showing up on canvas. Okay, good. Alright, this is good. This baffles me every time. Yeah. Alright. Now we're just gonna do it the old-fashioned way where we capture my windows. That means you guys can see yourselves on stream, I think? Okay, cool. Hey Ion, how you doing? There we go. Control Shift S. Alright. So in pure stereotypical fashion, I have put on my favorite background jazz because it sort of never fails me. Um, it sounds good. And now I will begin the artistic process. If anyone can tell me why window capture wouldn't capture my art in Photoshop, please let me know. Program still kind of baffles me a lot. Yes. Very good. Okay. So let's see. What we're going to do today is we're going to redraw this guy, and we're going to redraw this guy. We are getting new art. Fails at writing the letter N. So both of these guys have new art unlocked via stretch goals. The whole purpose of these stretch goals is so that the game will look as good as possible when it hits shelves sometime early next year. And there are a few robots in the game that have very old art, including these two, which actually have some of the oldest art in the game from like 2013. They've been kind of touched up a few times, just like because they were worse at one point. But when you compare them to recent art, which is like, look at this guy. This is ELL-100. He is a bomber robot. And this is Ika, who is a sort of a control robot. He can move other robots around the board, like strategically. You can kind of push your opponents away or move your other robots strategically. But they both have newer iterations. Like this is the Ika 400, who does similar stuff but more versatile. This is the L400, which also does similar stuff but more versatile. EL is a bomber, and then we have this one, which is actually Poppet's commander robot, the ELL-000, which is hello Poppet. That's how she kind of got her name. I hope everybody realizes that without me having to tell them. Still really funny to me. I haven't actually asked how my audio is mixed yet. Guys, how is my audio mixed? Can you hear me? Poor Punky. So the ELL-000 is pronounced hello. It's piloted by Poppet. As you can see, both of these robots have better art than this one. They were both drawn several years after. This one is a combination of me and Mong, who does some of our robot art. Mong did the base, and we actually still have the base robot that he drew. And then to make it more Poppet looking, I added gold filigree to it and changed the colors around a bit, and so it looks more aligned to that character. And this one's just straight up Mong, where I'm like, here, look at a squid robot, and give me what you got. And he is very good artist. So the challenge with Ika down here will be trying to make the new Ika's art as nice and cool as the one that Mong did. That'll be the challenge. And the challenge with the ELL over here is going to be how to make it more cool looking than a potato. So, let us begin. I'll probably start by doing the ELL. I'll try doing them both. And the hardest slash most fun part of doing these art streams is that you get to watch me try to find an adequate pose slash silhouette. And that can sometimes take a little bit. But that's also, well, yeah, that's the challenge. So, who knows? Maybe I'll just nail it on the first try. So, like, what's an ELL robot? ELL robots are bombers. A lot of the E-type robots in this robot game, they fly, and they do kind of scouty stuff, and you can kind of send them in, control your opponent a bit, and break up their formation, and then they leave. This definitely does that. He does a lot of area control because he has all ELL robots kind of have carpet bombs that hit large numbers of spaces on the board, and that's like what these yellow things are. These are supposed to look like bombs. I'm gonna make them look more obviously like bombs. So we could go for a space like this. And in case anyone missed it last time, this is the art that I did on the last stream, which is nice. This is what we started with, and after new art for this robot was unlocked to somewhere in the 30,000s, we've broken so many stretch goals we can keep track. He turned into this, and so back forth. We're gonna see some decent art improvement, roughly today, hopefully. Old one was cute. New one fits our fighting robot aesthetic just a little bit more. Has a better pose, I think. That's what we're going to be doing with these guys. My art style has evolved a little bit over the last few years. The lines in the game have kind of gotten thicker. Stuff. Robots have gotten more detail. When the game was first being drawn, I kind of had the picture of these robots being more like toy-sized. They didn't have a lot of detail to them. They were kind of like Metabots almost. Who remembers Metabots? And yeah, definitely a little bit more smaller Metabots. But as we evolve, as the game's sort of setting and everything else kind of evolved, we obviously wanted the robots to be more giant. So if you look over on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen here, this is probably like the rough scale of a human next to one of these robots. They're like car-sized, kind of SUV-sized-ish. So they have to have a little bit more detail to compensate, so they look bigger. So that means like adding more seams and rivets and smaller details. Whereas this guy right here looks more like a gashapon, like one of those little capsule toys. So we could either do something like that. That might not actually be bad. Maybe I did do it on the first try. If I don't come up with anything better, I'm just going to use this pose. And his design's going to get a bit cooler too. And maybe I've done this with a few other robots before, where I look at the newer ones. Like this is the newest one that was drawn, the ELL, the LO, and Mong added these little tiny jets in back. I think that's kind of cool. So I could reverse engineer it a little bit and put some of that on here. Alternatively, let's see. I could. Yeah, I redrew one of the E-type robots not too long ago, and I kind of put it in like a downward pose like this. And I was just thinking maybe I should do that with this guy, but I don't want all the E-type robots looking too similar. That's actually the hardest thing about E-types, is that they're all kind of like flying drones, so it could be very easy to accidentally make them look too similar. Check the chat. They totally look like cute little eggs. Yeah, they're like. I'm gonna make them. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to make them look less like candy corns. The little bombs on the ELL robots. And yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I think for the ICA, I'm gonna I'm gonna do something where I probably emphasize like its tractor beam sort of electro orb thing on top a little bit more. And then let's see. It gets a phone call, realize I can't really answer it. Let's see. Okay, so flying bomber. He's the blue bomber. Maybe I should make him look like Mega Man. How does one make a How does one make an airplane look like Mega Man? Oh, computer's lagging a little bit. How many frames I'm dropping? Wonder why I don't drop any frames here. Maybe it was actually historically when I've done these art streams and I stream my screen, I drop like 90% of frames. And no, I'm definitely not doing that. I'm barely dropping any frames at all. So I wonder if that was actually just um the internet in our old office. Now that I'm over in Seattle, things are a little bit. Maybe the internet's better. I don't know. Never really had trouble with the internet, but maybe it was over in Massachusetts. It was just like didn't like the idea of streaming. But we streamed on Kell's computer. These are good questions. Of course, maybe I don't have to. Maybe I don't have to draw the bombs if I just do a top. If I do a top view. So I guess that kind of defeats the purpose. How do I really identify him as a bomber without bombs? God, every time I listen to this soundtrack, I just want to like hop in The Wind Rises. Let me respond to this text for a second. Phone, recent, folder, reply. There we go. And I wonder if I can do this. So one of the distinctive things about all the robots in Aegis is that every robot in Aegis, or every subclass in Aegis, has different eyes. That's how we. That's like one of the main things of how I differentiate the different like makes of robots is that they all have different eyes. So all ELL robots, I say that as I look at Poppet's ELL. Well, Commander robots are a little different, but all ELL robots kind of have like these bracket-shaped eyes, and they all kind of have 4 eyes-ish. So I'm gonna do that here too. In fact, just to pull them thematically together, I might edit the face on the gold one right there, so that it also has similar eyes to the other two. Because then that's gonna bug me that I've noticed. So like, Ica eyes are like big circle, little circle, and I'm gonna do that. And then ELL eyes are like dot, big blob, big parentheses, small blob. You'll see that across a lot of the robots in the game of the same makes. Like get robots, the ones with the hooks, kind of have like this thing going. And then for eyes, and then arcs have like anime eyes. These little holes down here. And then, yeah, you get it. I want every robot to be kind of identifiable by face. I could also have it like, I can also have it dropping bombs. Something. If I want to be ambitious. Ta-da. Actually, I really like this one. This one's cute. Let's see. I could have it. I could kind of have it be a side view. What if I did like? The yellow is kind of easy to draw because it's shaped like a potato. I could do like a side view like this, where it's like a side under view, and then like having it like drop bombs, and it's only going like. Problem with dynamic angles like this one though is probably gonna clash with the backgrounds. Backgrounds are from a very straight-on perspective. Let's see, this would be like, yeah, this is the bottom. I just realized how messy this art is. It's like, I don't even know what this thing back is. It's like some kind of bee stinger. But like I said, maybe I'll like incorporate those like rear thruster jets or something from the gold one. Looks like doo doo. Anyway, welcome to Fengzhu's Design Cinema. Today we are going to be doing concept art of a robot. What if you made quadcoptery? You'd have a little more scaffolding to work with to hold bombs. Oh. top panel visible inside. Just draw really complex like schematic robots. Like a breakaway. That'd be pretty cool actually. Rocket potato indeed. Hello Yimel Chokan, how are you? This fine evening. Pew pew pew. Let's see. Art stream. Alright. I was smart this week. Apparently someone's trying to contact me and it's very urgent. I hope. It's probably pretty urgent. Maybe. I could do like just like this straight on. I feel like I want to like save this pose. It's like if I do an EL if I do like a flying jet robot straight on, I feel like I can only do that once. Because otherwise it'll look a very similar silhouette to every other E-type robot if I do this one like this. I'll have to choose bombs wisely. Ha ha ha. This pose. Like that. But anyway, yeah, I had a list made for me. How does one go about? So I have a few different talking points today. So we have things like, how did humans colonize Sigaya, the world that Aegis takes place on? Or we also have like the commander's personalities. Why do robots combine and how do they do it? How teams reflect commander playstyles. And Shaggy and Velma's subtextual relationship in the first couple seasons of Scooby-Doo. I could happily talk about that one for a few hours. I probably couldn't, but it's a thing. It's a thing that I will do on request. We also talk about let's see. ELL is actually. I'll talk more about the ELL real quick since I'm drawing him and he's a flying potato. ELL was probably the second E-type ever made. First one was Ender, because we just wanted like a basic flying machine gun guy. And so now he is the basic flying machine gun guy. What you get when you play an Ender 100, or an Ender 9, or an Ender 600, or like any subsequent Enders. They're all like just flying anti-air machine gun guys. They are pretty good at like kind of direct engagement. They kind of feel a little bit more like A-types, but they have some things that make them more like E-types, especially like evasion, and they can fly, and they're just kind of good at killing other flyers. So like it's airborne. It's like hating on its own class. But the ELL type, if we had a kind of like a fighter jet or like an attack drone, we need to have a bomber. So ELL is about as old as radius attacks are in general as a mechanic in this game. The first robot to kind of poop bombs places, and he's kind of been a mainstay in the game since then. We have many evolutions of the ELL planned and drawn out a little bit. Scaffolding. I wonder what Scott meant by scaffolding. I'm gonna resize these guys and put them over here. If I decide that I like them, I will use them. So ELL robots, yeah. First E-type robots designed. They can do all sorts of stuff. There's a level 2 ELL robot who is really strong, called the ELL 2000. He looks like a Durgan or a dragon. It kind of looks like, actually it has like a bumblebee kind of flair to it, where it's just like big and round and slow. It just floats through the air and drops bombs on you. That's an EG type. Different makes in the game kind of lean towards combining with particular classes. Like the ELL is kind of like a heavy bomber unit, so it made sense for it to combine with a G type because they're just also like heavy bombardment units in the game. And then we also have an EI type for him in the pipeline for some point in the future. His I types also kind of do radial stuff a lot. Then we have two different AEG types at the moment, but one of them might change. That's pretty cool. Gotta tease that. I don't know when you'll see that one though. Am I drawing on the background layer? Of course I am. Oh, I don't know why. Oh. Which layer? There we go. Okay. So we have an AEG type. We also have an AE type, I guess. We actually have like a little doodled AE type for him. He's kind of cute. Like the EL is pretty versatile. He can end up mixed with pretty much any color eventually. I could also see an ES type too. Not to be trifled with. Maybe add a leg to the end so it doesn't fall over. Where's your tablet pen, Emily? Do, do, do. So, bum bum bum. Okay. Oh no, Ika. Ika, what do you do? Ika's a squid. Ika was... You don't know what number I type he was made out of. Must have been actually, he was actually a very early I type. Yeah. He was actually very, very early. One of the very first little notebook sketches that spawned this whole game was a kinda... The original I type was actually like a little guy that looked like this. He had like little feet, and he did little feet like this. And this guy kind of looked like an upside down bucket. He had a little eye. Then he had like a bunch of little antennae coming out of him with little electrodes. And this was like the initial plan for I types in general. And then like the other earlier ones were kind of based on touch comas from Ghost in the Shell. This is I think the very first one where they had things. So Ico is based pretty directly off of that. Can't even think of any other I types that came before him. I think Inade, who launches grenades, was like, yeah, he kind of was based on a touch coma. And then this guy was probably the second I type ever made. And his whole thing is that when we were making Gamoon's team way back in 2013, Gamoon's like very first team. Uh, this was his I type, and it moved guys around. It could kind of lightning shock a dude, and it could move them towards him or move them away from him a little bit, like 3 spaces. Eventually, we just consolidated it to be one mechanic. And this was like semi-recently. We just consolidated it to be one mechanic, and you could just move it anywhere you wanted. And more or less, just like what we were thinking about, like what other classes of robot could like robot movement, like pushing and pulling. Pushing and pulling was one of the first mechanics we. What other robot movement could what other classes could do manipulating the placement of other robots? And I-type was the obvious one. So I-types can move other guys around. And it's one of the main things they're able to do. They can debuff, they can energy burn, they can kind of move guys around or stop them from moving. So yeah, this will be hard. Yeah, I think that one. The one I walked through has 4 legs. This one can probably also get 4 legs. It's actually I have kind of a sketch that I could use. That was supposed to be. It's actually the base sketch for the one that Mong did. Kind of looked like this. Watch as I actually, instead of just going to find it, I'm going to redraw it because that's what you're here to see. You're here to see me draw robots. Pop. Ghost in the Shell is not a true story? Are you kidding me? Why isn't Ghost in the Shell a true story? Come on. I didn't know that. It's like finding out Santa isn't real. Which he is, by the way. Santa not being real is a lie that adults tell kids to make them lose hope. I'm gonna probably do the thing where I draw his main body first, and then I'm gonna make him look more like the other one. Give him real tentacles. Then I will draw his tentacles on a different layer. It also isn't really a super dynamic pose. If I can get a good design down, then I can put him in a better pose. Dun, da 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 dun. Da 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 da. I can kind of see some of the tricks that Mog did to make those tentacles look so good, so I'll see if I can replicate things that he did. And it's really just all in how you light them, really. And like the fact having things overlap always makes your robots look cool, or your art look cool in general. Do 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 do. Let's see, AEGIS. Finding so AEGIS are the eye type that just moves other robots around. So his base forms, they do that. They move other robots around in various ways, in various orientations. They're just good at doing that. But it's pretty limiting. We can only make so many robots that just kind of target guy, move him around. We have like a few more planned. But what do they do at a higher level? That's the question. We were thinking about making them be able to teleport other robots, or teleport to other robots, and that's pretty cool. You'll see how we do that one eventually. The Echoes in the game though are also pretty cool on their own. The ARK-150 is just like probably one of the best non-attacking robots in the game, period. Your opponent gets close to you, you just use the good old ARK-150 here, and he will push them away. You get slightly too close for comfort, look at that, the ARK-150 will pull you into the opponent's team, and then you cry, because now you're being shot at. For a guy that has like 4 movement and 3 health, he is very, very useful. You can wombo with a lot of robots, and it kind of shows off the game's synergy, just synergy in general. Because on his own he doesn't do anything, but when you put him with the right robots, the right other robots can become the best. I think he's probably one of our better designed robots in the game just because of that. His design is lenticular. And a novice player will look at it and be like, Experienced player will look at it and be like, haha. Let's see, here's this race car squid. Merge down. I always like how cute the sketches look when I move them around like that. He's so tiny in the corner. Very good. So put him up there. Ika has no direct combine options in the game. There are 2 of them, but in the core box he does not actually become like a bigger ICA. All the other bigger ICAs are planned for the future. One of the robots is on Goon's team still, which has deadly synergy. And then the other one is on Rios's team, which also has some pretty deadly synergy. On Rios's team, it serves more to like pull a robot into range of being energy burned, or make them or push them away. So they have to spend more energy to get back into range. And it's like Rios is all about like energy kind of denial. And Gamoon's robots are all very heavy, or like they have like artillery that they can't use an attack with on the same turn normally. You try out move and debuff. Let's see. Most eye types have 4 legs. It's just that from the angle, like if you look really closely, you can see the ICA 400's 4th leg over here. It's like just behind its front leg. Most of the time, yeah, you just can't see like the 4th legs because of the angle that the robots are drawn in. So it also it also kind of looks like a lot of guard types might have 3 legs too, but no, they all have 4. And like, I think eye types are the only robot class that can have more than 4 legs. So they pretty much always have 4 legs. And then there are other ones that have 6 legs. No, actually, I don't think any have 6. Most of them have 4. And that's actually one of the design things with drawing eye types, is that a lot of them gonna have sets of 4 something or other. But that was originally how it is. It didn't really carry through with a lot of them. Like this guy right here, the ICA that Mong drew ended up having 5 tentacles. And I'm like, no, it should have 4. But then, it looked cool enough, and I just kind of it didn't really matter that much. But eye types in general, they just have like lots of like multiple appendages and swirly cues. Like he has like stabby plow thing on his chin. That doesn't make sure that doesn't like read like a weapon though, because this guy doesn't have any weapons. Oh my OMG. And yeah, honestly, like a movement and a debuff. Wherever would you get that idea? Eyes don't debuff. What am I doing? Pose exploration. And there's my computer heating up. Let's see here. How the space elevator works. How on earth people move the robots to wake them up. So in the most recent update, I talked about Einer and Etwall. And our long-time stream listeners probably have heard all about Einer and Etwall. So I wonder what's something new I could tell you about Einer and Etwall. Well, Etwall is definitely magnificent. They are the red and blue commanders from the red and blue nations, respectively. The real question is, how did Einer wake up the robots? Gets cryptic messages on my phone. There we go. So we actually had a we had a cool little I don't even remember. Do we? I think at one point we had a kind of a short story that told like the impetus of the whole robot war and Einer waking the robots up. I think that's long lost though. We'll have that one. Well, maybe we'll get that one rewritten, posted up somewhere. Because that's actually pretty interesting. Basically, the Allied provinces are like this northern... They're just like this northern nation. They're pretty poor. The Imperial Realm kind of just... They owned a lot of these parts. And just, like these northern places because they're kind of rich in like various resources, like mineral resources and things like that. The special types of granite and marble that they use to sculpt their cities out of, they have to pull from the north. And there's all these little mining villages up in the Allied provinces where people kind of are stuck in the mines all day. And it was actually... Everyone up there is cold and poor. It feels very bleak. But then one day, the Allied provinces kind of got... They got a second customer. And they started selling more and more of their resources to the Great States. They kind of realized they didn't need to be under the thumb of the Imperial Realm anymore. So, they just decided to say, no, we are no longer giving you rocks. And the Imperial Realm was like, well then. And so, they kind of started bringing down their thunderous might and blowing everything in the Allied provinces up. Just like marching in platoons of dudes down there and like harassing villagers and reclaiming and occupying towns. So Einer, who is just kind of like just like a mining boy, he kind of has like a can-do attitude. It's like, well, if no one's going to help, well, if no one's going to stand up, no one's gonna stand up to this crap if I don't stand up for this. If I don't stand up to this crap. So I hope you love my storytelling vernacular, by the way. So Einer stood up, and that's very true in real life. It always takes like the one person who's dumb enough to do something cool, and that's why it's cool. So Einer stood up. He's like, "Yo, this is enough of this," and he started kind of waging some little guerrilla warfare on the Imperial realm, like think like the American Revolution, and it's just started getting the Imperial soldiers off of the Allied provinces' lawns, cutting off their supply routes. He just like started putting more and more time and effort into that. Oh, and they started getting more and more aggressive, the Imperial realm. They I need a bigger plan because like they're the Imperial the Allied provinces weren't super well armed and they don't have a really big population of dudes to send out to fight. Compared to the Imperial realms, like pretty much endless supply of soldiers and weapons and all this other stuff. So that's when Einers really started taking a good look around at all of these kind of robots that dot the landscape. They're just like statues and ruins, and they're literally just everywhere. You can read either update 3 or 4 that talks about robot lore, or is it 5? One of the updates talks about robot lore. But basically, yeah, they arrived on this plane a long time ago. They've been sitting dormant ever since. Sent by long forgotten humans in the past. So Einar had a bunch of his buddies. So Einar and a bunch of his buddies were preparing. They're like, they need to do something crazy. And they could either abandon a certain town, or they could try something weird. And they tried something weird. So they arranged a whole bunch of these robots at the town exit, or at the town entrance, and kind of as a bluff to make the Imperium think that they were active, and like they stood them up and they dressed them up and they painted them and they made them look like they weren't just like rusty garbage. The Imperial Realm had like a few like more conventional war machines coming towards them, some like little tanky bits and soldiers with mortars and things like that. But midway through this conflict, they're losing badly as soon as, the Imperial Realm noticed that the robots weren't actually doing anything. They were just kind of there like scarecrows. That Einar tried something desperate, and so he gets up in the robot. He gets all up in the robot's face, and I think this is going to be the canon. I think Einar gets up in the robot's face, and he punches the robot in the face. In like some sort of dramatic frustration, and the thing turns on. But not because he punched in the face, but more like because they actually happened to arrange exactly 5 robots in close proximity to each other, and I think one of them falling over put it within like the startup radius. Maybe they were all too far apart at the start, and then all ended up next to each other. And that's kind of the secret. I guess that's the kind of the secret to turning the robots in Aegis on. And it sounds silly, but I always make this comparison. Imagine if you had a whole bunch of kitchen appliances and you've never been in a kitchen before, and you could only turn the toaster on by arranging it next to exactly 1 spoon, 1 pan, your microwave, and an egg beater. And that's the only way to turn your toaster on. You would never try that. You would never do that. Like really specifically, if there were 6 things arranged, no, you would have a rougher time. But in order to activate a team of Aegis robots, there need to be 5 organized in sequence. In kind of a particular physical arrangement. Been doodling this one like a sketch for a while I yammer on. So anyway, Einar wakes up these 5 robots, and most of them don't work because they've been sitting around in a pile. But one of them can move pretty well, and that's an R. And so Einar jumps onto an ARK-150 and kind of like demands it to move. And he commands it actually because he's a commander. Ha ha ha. And commanders are special because they're pretty much the ultimate multitaskers. They have to control 5 of these bodies at once. And imagine trying to control like 20 limbs and seeing from 5 different places at once. It takes a very particular kind of talent. So basically they drift with the robots like Pacific Rim, and they have to control all 5 of them. And so Einar gets the easy tutorial battle because none of the other robots are really effectively to move. So he goes onto an ARK-150, which is like an A-type robot with a blade on it, and he kind of does the Shonen Gundam Episode 1 thing where he drives off the Imperial Realm using just the ARK-150 because the ARK-150 is real fast and real strong. And then from there on, they kind of, after the battle, they kind of figure out what the secret to turning the robots on is. And then, not too long afterwards, everyone and their mom figures it out. So the Imperial Realm figures it out, the Great States figures it out because they're tight with the Allied provinces. And then the Iris Dominion probably already knew about this, but they try not to be in each other's hair. Or maybe they just don't have a lot of them over in their territory, but they don't really like to do direct combat anyway. So the Irish Dominion is very... I think the only nation that actually knew about the Aegis robots, or at least like something about them, was the Sector Authority, the guys that like up on their space station, they kind of look down on everyone else. And then like the rest of their nation is like a Japan island in the middle of the ocean, distinctly separated from all the other nations, which are all kind of on one landmass. So they're just kind of really hoping that no one would ever figure this out. And they had operations to like get rid of these robots, like while they were dormant. Like they would like just arrive on the surface and try to like either destroy them or like throw them in the ocean and stuff, so that the other hostile nations would never figure out how to turn them on. But Einar figured it out, so the Sector Authority's kind of mad at him. And then the Irish Dominion kind of wants to kidnap him to figure out what makes him so special about how he can turn them on, be a really strong fighter with them. So they kind of look at him like Jesse and James look at Pikachu. And like Gamoon and the Great States just have like a grand old time. They're just like, oh man, we have so many of these. They're like robots, they're just like buried out in like the plains and the desert where their nation is. They're just like, oh man, this is awesome. So they just have like they probably have like the most Aegis robots over in the Great States, but their government's really incompetent, so they don't use them as effectively as they could. So anyway, that's the spiel on kind of how Einar woke up the Aegis robots. And I hope that Robot Scott isn't in the chat right now shaking his head over my storytelling abilities. But space is far away. Windy boy. Maybe no one even heard any of that. Probably a good thing. Let's see. Anyway, that's roughly that's the story of AEGIS and how Einar woke up the robots. So Elwell figures it out really quick, and while everyone else is kind of like, they didn't even know the robots could combine, Elwell's like, build me a custom jet. First of all, find me a jet, and then build me a custom jet. And then he figures out pretty quickly, because Elwell's smart, that the robots can combine, and he combines his guys into, he unlocks the first level 3 of the war, the Excel gun, which is big and stupid powerful. And it's everything, and then everyone's really scared of Etwall because of that. And eventually everyone else kind of figures out how to do level 3 robots too. Etwall is less threatening, but his Excel gun is still the most powerful robot, at least at the start of the story. And the game actually takes place like a few years after Einar discovers the robot, so like the war is in like full swing, and everyone's kind of established in their roles. Full swing. Make them look like a race car. A few of these. Race car squid! Let's talk about Etwall's lore for a second. Etwall is like the third heir of the throne, right? There's a pretty conventional monarchy, or like monarchy. We haven't really discussed what the leadership of each nation is like yet. But so yeah, royal family stuff. Etwall's third heir of the throne, behind a certain princess and a certain emperor's brother, or empress's brother, who we do have planned. And he really is really similar to Zap Brannigan. Like, everybody knows him. Everyone around the world knows him. Very big ego. But in like the royal family is kind of a joke, which is why they send him out to the front lines. He's not even really like, he's like a cousin. So Etwall's dad is the emperor's brother. I think that's how that works out. Yeah. So yeah, Etwall's dad is the emperor's brother. And so he's like barely in the main line. But the royal family is like so freaking decadent. They just like spend most of their time eating grapes. Well, it takes care of all the dirty work with like managing like the military. Because they just have like so many infinite resources, isn't really how they command it. They just leave it up to Etwall mostly. There's like a whole bunch of other generals too, but generally whatever Etwall says, everyone else does. Etwall's main strategy is to kind of throw his allies at the enemy. cannons until they're clogged. And draw this moe squid, like covering its face. Gaul's constantly fighting with like everybody, either directly or indirectly. Everybody knows that wall. Everybody hates that wall. Gamund hates that wall. Liner hates that wall. Diane hates that wall. Stell hates that wall. I don't think Ixa really cares about that wall. Rios doesn't know who that wall is. I don't think Rios cares either. Poppet cares. I think Poppet probably has like a lady crush on that wall. Because she really wants to be in the royal family. Bad, just so she has a place in the world again. But that wall does not particularly care for her. Yeah, Wall's probably the least humble person on the planet of Sigaya. That's not to say he doesn't really have the strength to back it up either. As a one-on-one fighter, Atwell's vicious. That's probably why he is so arrogant. He doesn't really need ridiculous tactics or like nice tactics or tactful tactics. He usually just like softens up the enemy and then he just goes in and steals all the glory and he kill steals everybody. It's kind of like how his team works too. His team flies in and, you know, they soften up the enemy with like carpet bombs and stuff, but then ultimately all of his robots but him are disposable. And then he flies in and he deals the finishing blow to everybody. It's basically how his team works. Or the flavor behind it anyway. Dun, 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 dun. So Wall's kind of a master class in swordsmanship. His robot, which is a jet, has swords for wings. That's how tight Atwell is with swords. It's like, put sword. I want my plane's wings to be swords. He did not say please. Atwell probably has never said please in his life. Wants stuff done. Dun, dun, dun. So how old are the great states? That's a good question. Great Days are probably they definitely predate the Allied provinces for by a pretty good amount. They've been an established country for a while. Other question is how long have humans been on the Gaia in general? Better question. I don't have a direct answer to right now, but I would say we're gonna work in ratios. I would say that the Great States are about 1/3 to 1/2 as old as humans are on the planet. They've been there for a pretty decent amount of time. Yeah, that's a little generous, actually. They're probably a little bit newer than that. 25% as old. So if humans have been on this planet for 500 years, that means they've been around for about 125 years. They're like a relatively young and proud nation, much like our own. The lore. The AEGIS. 'Spaghetti. Dun, 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 dun. The Paul. Sure. 2 weeks to go still on the Kickstarter machine. Dun, 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 dun. That's good. Okay. Checking up on the Kickstarter stats. Okay, let's see here. Wonder what I can do with this pose. It's almost a little bit like what the LL000 is, but they don't really look very similar as robots at all. Let's see what I can do with this one, because I do think I actually like this one the most. Let's sharpen you up a little bit, son. Maybe get something usable out of you. We're deep into it, man. We're about halfway done with the Kickstarter now. At 250% of our goal. That feels very good. I wish my voice were more soothing. Would it be better if I spoke like this while I drew? Matt McConaughey voice. Yeah, pretty much. Matt McConaughey as hell. Oh, mind me getting stretch really quick. And thank you, 3-2. Remember to submit art for the fan art contest. Remember, everyone, submit art for the fan art contest. That would be good. That way you can force me on here. But actually, I think, not confirmed yet, but if we get 12, so if we get 12 submissions for the fan art contest, we get new art for Atwall's robot, the XL100. And that one actually probably won't be done by me. That one will be done by Mong. Because I have some crazy ideas for what I want that robot to look like in actuality. Where its wings are chain swords, and I want that to be represented in its art. And for it to be doing some sort of cool, like, aerial whooshy whoosh. And that is above my pedigree. But it's not above Mong's pedigree. Mong is very good at that whole crazy perspective thing. And really pushing poses and stuff. So, the idea is that Mong will do redos of Atwall's level 2 and Atwall's level 1 and Atwall's level 2. Because he did the art for Atwall's level 3 that we're currently using. So we're just going to make them all match. And we get super sweet, awesome Mong art for those guys if we get a bunch of submissions to the fan art contest. We'll see how the fan art contest does. It'll be interesting. Draw some stuff on a napkin. Submit it. Counts. We'll like feature all of the fan art we collect near the end of the campaign in an update and stuff, and that'd be really cool. Wham! Fly, fly, spoosh. Exactly the sound these robots make. Account for like 10 fan arts, right? Yeah. Yeah, you do. Just need 1,000,000 fan arts. We need 1,000,000. 1,000,000 fan arts. Super potato. It goes whoosh through the air. Okay, let's see here. What can I do to make you look less like a potato? I'll just play with his shapes a little bit. No. Okay. What are other things on my talking points? Check in my list. How one goes about making their own team sans a commander. That's a really good thing to talk about for Jesse and Kettle. I'm sure I could definitely talk about it too, but they would be able to talk forever about it. One goes on the main team. How do robots combine? How they do it? Why do robots combine, and how do they do it? The robots in the world of Aegis, no, they ain't made out of like steel or anything. They're made out of kind of a super flexible space age sort of whatchamacallit material. That's a very technical term, I know, but bear with me. I don't know if you're going to be able to handle all the science I'm about to drop on you. But yeah, it's like this weird like cross between like metal and plastic. That allows, and they almost have like cells almost. The metal is made up of tiny little super microscopic kind of cells like a normal person is. And that's what allows their shapes to break down and reconstruct into combined forms. So yeah, you get them close to each other, and they glow like Pokemon about to evolve, right? And then they kind of just melt down and merge together, and a new form comes out. it's not like a transformer where you can actually blatantly see this part becomes that part, da 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 da. And like in the world of Aegis, the robots sort of they definitely like they glow and then they meld together, and you get a robot that has physical traits of the ones that it is made up of, but it's not necessarily like a transformer or anything. That's probably one of the most relevant bits about how the robots actually combine. It's because they're all made out of the same material. They're all made out of the same, yeah, they're all made out of the same stuff. And they just kind of have a built-in function to be able to get bigger and smaller and absorb traits. They're also kind of self-evolving too. They've been around for a long time. They kind of ended up in these forms by chance. So it doesn't stop people from having free reign to like work with the material and customize them and things like that. So you have people don't really know how to reproduce. People don't really know how to reproduce the materials, but they can use it to build with and stuff. So that's why you get a lot of these custom Aegis units. Like Etwall's is a custom unit based on an E-jet, but it has blades for wings. And then Einer's unit is a custom ARK, where he took the blade off the head and put them on the arms. And Sol is a custom unit based on a machine, based on a type that you haven't really seen yet. But there is like there is a dumbed down, there is like an original stock version of Stell's robot and Gamoon's robot before Gamoon adapted his to have sunglasses. And Stell adapted hers to shoot into space. And then Diane's robot, the ARM-777, is pretty much just like a junk pile. It's just like she made it out of a bunch of other dudes. Like this parts of this G type and parts of this I type, parts of this A type. And she and some little helpers out on the frontier lands put together the ARM-777. That's how you kind of get some of the faction aligned robots too. So like the Actyl, which is like a spy robot with like a spear and a little gun, is one of Yimel Chokan's favorites, was customized by the Iris Dominion using I-type parts. And because it has some I-type parts in it, it's able to do I-type things, but it's not an AI type, really. Doesn't have enough material to really count as a level 2. I think that's what really defines what a level 2 is how much stuff is it made out of and how big is it? Or is there an equal amount of I-type part and A-type part, rather? Oh, there we go. Snaps to attention. Hey DNA, how are you? And fan arts. So yeah, the derelict robots that are just kind of laying around everywhere have become resource because not all of them are usable and not all of them are fixable. So they're kind of harvested for parts and materials. And also, it also should be noted that because of this, the Aegis robots on the planet are kind of a finite resource. There is a set amount of them on the planet. There's a lot of them, but there's a set amount of them. They can't really make new ones. They can only repurpose parts from old ones to make new ones. So there's just kind of a lump amount of this material that these robots are made out of on the planet. probably pretty relevant when we get down to later parts in the story. It also makes the robots themselves kind of a commodity, where there are rarer ones than other ones, and the Iris Dominion really, really wants some of them. They kind of just want to. The Iris Dominion's like main thing is they want to just collect them all. They want to know everything about these Aegis robots, what their origins are, what all of them are used for, why there are different types. And so they spend a lot of time sort of kidnapping and collecting robot pieces, robots and stuff from other nations. Build their own sort of private collection, for who knows what purpose. Yeah, that's sort of the history of like, what are the robots and what are they made of? Um, so to recap, commanders, special people, they drift with the robots like in Pacific Rim, and they have to be extremely multitask oriented to be able to control 5 bodies at once, which is what makes commanders special. And the robots have been laid dormant forever, and you can only turn them on by arranging them in a special order, certain amount, certain time and place. Well, not that specific, but laid dormant because no one really knew how to turn them on. Niner turned them on by accident. I know he started a world war. Now he's pretty much forced to be a war hero. Like, with the joy of responsibility comes the burden of obligation. I believe a great man once said that. His name was Hank Hill. It's a pretty profound phrase the more I think about it. And the robots are made out of crazy techno-organic, flexible metal plastic that is a commodity around the planet. And it allows them to merge together like Pokemon. Or evolve like Pokemon, but in a similar visual effect style, where they don't really act like Transformers. They're really more similar to Pokemon in a way. Re-transform. Or Gurren Lagann if you want to be more thematic. Like the robots in Gurren Lagann just kind of operated on spiral power, and they made new parts and transformations as necessary. Is kind of how the Aegis robots work. They're not bound by, or the laws of the material world. Aside from, I don't think Aegis robots can become bigger without incorporating more mass. So they can't like spawn like body-sized drills out of nowhere like in Gurren Lagann, I don't think. It would have to assimilate some kind of big drill robot. Or assimilate a lot of material from other surrounding robots to pull off such an attack. I kinda like how cute the original L's face is, so I'll make its eyes bigger. When they don't have tech to make new ones. So once they capture the golden, are you just robots basically scub coral? I wouldn't want to go that far. God, I love the designs in Eureka 7, and I love a lot of things about Eureka 7, but everything about scub coral probably didn't need to be in Eureka 7. It was fine if it was just about surf culture and fighting the power and robots. They really didn't need the quantum physics aliens. Also, Aegis robots, I don't think they're sentient or intelligent or anything like that. They're just, they're still there to be commanded. They're just machines. They're there to be commanded by humans. But yeah, the custom, like Scott was saying, the custom Aegis robots are made via. Yeah, the custom Aegis robots are made via. Like not every robot in the world is like in pristine condition when they find them. So a lot of them are kind of just broken down and repurposed to make other robots. Drop in the Aegis lore today. All of a sudden it's sunny out. New and exciting. We've been planning on doing like a Kickstarter live since like day one, but it's just never lined up. Wondering if we should do that soon. Because I know like a lot of the people on Kickstarter don't probably don't even really use Twitch. So I was thinking that maybe we do a live on there. Where it would probably just be more of a Q&A session though, since I think Kickstarter Live only works as like a webcam. You guys get to see my beautiful face as I talk about robots. Finding a good time to do it is the thing. Like I never really know when to announce it. I don't really quite know how it works either. Like I don't know if I go live and every Kickstarter backer gets notified. Does anyone have any experience with that? I definitely want to try one at least before the campaign ends. Be very useful information for the future. Yeah, figures. I know it's kind of a new feature. I'll probably look up specific references on bombs. I guess I can make this look like bros. From Mario. Let's see here. Can nobody hear my jazz? It's very important that people can hear my jazz. Please don't tell me I've been silent this entire time. That'd be terrible. I've been silent this entire time? You kidding me? I don't know, man. OBS. OBS says it's capturing my desktop audio. Because my speakers are so low? Well, I fixed the audio cutting in and out thing. Yeah, I fixed the audio cutting in and out thing by just having the stream my desktop audio, and therefore it doesn't cut in and out anymore. But hmm, weird. And so I guess none of the things I did just fixed it. It's still just silent. Interesting. Man, these okay. It's doing the same thing but without music. That's a really weird. I'm really sorry, guys. I didn't want you to just sit here and listen to my mic cut in and out. Listen with my fan noise in the background. That sucks. Because like when I was streaming yesterday, or like the day before or whatever, we fixed the desktop audio thing. OBS is kind of garbage. Where it like barely works. Like it doesn't really work ever the way it's supposed to. That's a little disappointing. The entire time I thought we were all having a jazzy good time. Because I'm like sitting here listening to music. Hmm. I am sad. Next time I go on air, first people in the chat have an obligation to tell me whether my music's working or not. Please. Why wouldn't it be streaming my desktop audio? I don't understand. It just didn't, I guess. I actually usually I go on YouTube and there's a nice like 3 hour long playlist called Ghibli Jazz from like it's like a Yeah, it's like cafe and piano kind of remixes of like Studio Ghibli movies like My Neighbor Totoro and every other one. So it's just a very chill overall. That is very sad. Da, 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 da. Let's We're gonna polish this one up a little bit. Yellow in the top left corner. Yeah, maybe a little bit. What don't you like about the angle? What can do to make it a little bit more distinct? Because it has, I think I know what I can do. What's kind of cool about the first one is that it had a big old head. Let's see if I can... give it a big old head. Maybe pushed a little bit too hard. No. How about that? Yeah, I was being a little bit too conservative. I remember some of these robots can push their shapes a little bit harder than what I'm doing. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better too, honestly. In the final art, I'll probably have like some bombs coming out here and going like boom boom. Be like one of these. Maybe this is where he drops bombs from. He has like a hole in his underbelly. That. Yeah, I think so too on the wings. I can probably get a little bit better. I can probably get a little bit more variety on the wings. Or like the general turbine wing things. How do I effortlessly select drawing segments like that? Change layers with the stylus. You mean when I do this? It's actually just the lasso tool. And then I can do whatever I want. I can make his armies really small. And then I would just, you know, do the thing where I erase and stuff. Hope no one actually likes it like that. Actually, I could totally see it going like that. It's really funny. Like the lasso, yeah, so since I'm using a stylus, using the lasso tool is a lot easier. If you're using a mouse, getting a nice, precise selection with the lasso tool is pretty difficult. It also helps when you're using, like I said, I'm drawing on the screen. I don't know if you have like a Cintiq or something, but um, with me, I'm literally just like, I can just like use the lasso and go hoop a doop and select exactly what I want, almost like if I was drawing a circle around it on paper. Yeah. Honestly, the lasso tool is like is like the secret technique. It's like the most powerful tool in Photoshop. You can use it for everything. Like I've seen some really pro artists use it pretty much like it's another paintbrush tool. Like they just like draw really complex shapes with it, and then they like fill the lines or like do other stuff, and I'm like, wow, that takes precision. But with my robots that are just like, big goofy shapes, it's a little bit easier. And plus I'm only adjusting line art right now. So it's like not even the final line art either. I'll probably expand that guy again and go over him again to make him sharper. Because right now he's pretty low resolution. Again, I'm really sorry about the audio. I don't know where my music is. Because it's playing in my ears right now. Wait. I wonder. Properties. Tell me if that worked. I just like changed it to default, quote unquote. I don't know what that did. And of course, if you just want me to turn it back off because you're listening to your own music, that's fine too. Thank you. I love my big goofy shapes too. Since no one said anything in the chat, I'm pretty sure my audio fix did not actually work. Man, the music I'm listening to is so good. Still no music. Everything here tells me audio output capture. What about that? Oh. Well, yeah, I don't know what happened there. I must have tried to mess with some settings before I went on stream and it destroyed it. So, well, let me know if you guys have already chosen your playlists and I can turn it back off. Well, I guess that's good to know for next time. I think I attempted to do some sort of video capture. I attempted to do some sort of specific video capture before the stream, and I guess that implied that I did not want my audio captured or something. But who knows? Or if you want me to adjust it, rather. It might be really loud, I'm not sure. Yeah, let me adjust that. Let's see. How's that? One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, question mark? One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. Alright, excellent. That's because Yamal Chokan, as I was trying to explain to you before. It's literally just taking my audio output from my computer and sending it through, rather than what I was doing before, which was just having the audio play through my speakers and get picked up through my mic. It was pretty dumb. But hey, you learn stuff over time. I'm not one of those kids who knows how to do the streaming thing. Well, I'm from the 90s. Kids these days and their Twitch. What did you just do? One of my Discords is going crazy. Is that the Aegis Discord? Someone's saying lots of stuff. Well, if I keep it like this, I probably should thin out those arms, because now it actually looks like the Ica's going to beast you. Like, who needs the tentacles when you have biceps? It's like a gorilla. Hong has a very particular way of shading the metal bits too, that I still haven't really quite figured out how to replicate. Just a hair. There you go. Get spammed by messages. Super squid. Like I said, I think I'm gonna erase this guy's tentacles. I'm gonna put them on I'm gonna refine the body, and then I'm gonna put the tentacles on a different layer. That's what I'm gonna do. Squidward tentacles. Yeah, I can't believe Yamel Chokon was born 2 months after me than me. Like grandma. How long this is going on for? Let me check. One of these days I'll actually figure out how to stream the proper window on my computer too. So I can adjust things like my YouTube without doing the thing. Like I actually had it oh shoot, that's the new Ica, or an elephant. Yeah, I set up window capture, and when I set up window capture for the Photoshop window, it just captured the dark gray background, and not the actual workspace that I was in. So I was there and I was like doodling for a bit at the start of the stream, and I was actually just advertising the Photoshop UI. And I thought that was weird. And for the longest time, doing the capture thing with Photoshop outright didn't work. I tried it again today just to see if it did. And it's like, it got halfway there. Well, let me think. How does the Ica manipulate? So the first Ica that we drew obviously had like this sphere thing going on where I think it definitely like produced a tractor beam to magnetically, not magnetically move guys around via like magical energy stuff. But then the Ica 400 was drawn, and Mong just drew crazy tentacles going everywhere with no such tractor beam thing. So the answer is, right now while I'm redrawing the Ica 100, do I retcon the electro tractor beam thing and just say that Icas move stuff around via physical tentacles? I kind of want to try both. I'll see if I can play in the tractor beam thing while also just having tentacles that go everywhere. But the robot that I'm most excited to redraw though is the frickin' Gekkel. The sniper robot. He is probably he is the second E-type ever drawn and has never been updated. And then when you look at the Gekkel 200 that Mong drew, it's a little crazy how good that one is in comparison. He kind of went ham on it. He really went ham on a lot of these robots. Actually, for some of them, I definitely had to tone them down. Like, he actually put too much detail. I made them look too much like actual real-world machines. So I like had to round them out a little bit. Didn't have to do anything to the Ica though. Ica came out. The new Ica came out so good. Okay, the first one uses a tractor, and the second one is leg. I'm just gonna extendo tentacle move you. Also, Ika's the only I think Ika's the only eye type that doesn't have like a gray face mask. Instead just has like eyes mounted on its body. Ixa's custom robot, the Isa, similar, but no, I think it has like a mask now that I drew onto it after I redrew it. So Ika is generally kind of an art, is like a style guide outlier. But it's also not mistakable as any other robot type because of pretty much everything else about it, so I let some of his abnormalities slide. I can make, rather than having him look like a chair, he's kind of looking like right now, he looks like a chair. I'm gonna, what's something cool I can do with legs? Well, actually, before I do that, let me let's like, I left those there so I know exactly where his placement was. So as I pretty much delete everything about this Ika except for the face. I could go back to the 2-leg model. Rather than having G-type pistons like in this one. Looks like an office chair. I'm kind of making it a universal thing that all I-types have like that like spaghetti sinew that holds them together. Now that's kind of like one of the main things for I-types. Aside from rollerball feet, pretty much every I-type except for Isa has rollerball feet. They're like those like massage balls that you can get. Like they come with like a handle on them and they use them for like back massages. The AEGIS robots' original purpose was as massage robots, and the I-types are the only actual true AEGIS robots because they still retained their central purpose of having massage balls for feet. Dumb. Oh, this guy's stumping me. Literally make him a squid. I make a body underneath there, kind of like how Mong did. Mong didn't draw any of these robots from scratch either. I gave him sketches for all of the ones that he used. That echo over there is kind of my design. Which is why I'm like, maybe I should just go back and use the design I gave Mong for this echo that I'm trying to draw now. Let's see. Like, ruined this guy's flow when I erased a bunch of his stuff. Let's go over here, make you smaller for a second. You just take the palette pen. Yeah, maybe I could go for more of a spidery thing, since that's what everyone's saying. There really isn't much of that in I-type yet anyway, so maybe I'll go for something a little bit spidery. But yeah, I also like the sinew stuff. I forget when that first showed up. Oh boy! It might have been when I first drew, maybe like the Esper 4000. It kind of has some sinew holding it together, like the level 3. And then from there I kind of went backwards and drew all of them as... Also, welcome back. I went back and looked at all the I-types and a bunch, and then I started like reincorporating sinew into all of them because I thought it was really cool. That was a long time ago. But yeah, there are still I-types. It's like spider squid. It's actually kind of similar. So many artists have touched this game. One of the artists for Greenbrier originally, when we first signed on to them, did some random like concept work. He drew like an I-type, and it kind of had legs, similar to what I'm drawing now. So it had like a piece right here, and then it came out and it was like a spider. The thing is, as long as one of the legs is visible... Actually, the legs he drew were like... this? Yeah. He had like the body that was like this. That. Oops. Oh my god. I was expecting the Squidbot to be the easier one today, actually. Actually, I think it was the Izzy, which is in the tabletop simulator demo at the moment, I think, that inspired the whole I-types can have tentacles thing. Because originally all the robots were just hard surface, and they looked like toys. But then like Izzy had like the whip tail. That's what kind of inspired every other I-type to get open space to do the thing with tentacles and stuff. They just need a hug. Leaving that head on a spider body. Yeah, it's kind of nightmare fuel. Yeah, I-types are kind of like the creepy ones. A lot of the evolved versions look creepy. Like if you look at the Esper 4000, it definitely looks a little bit malevolent compared to other robots. It has a lot of eye in him. Same thing with let's see. There's the Izzy 4000, which actually looks a bit more like a Matador, but it also has like a bit of a little bit evil flair to it. And then I think there are what are the other I-types that made it to level 3. I know there's like 4 of them. There's the EIS type that looks like a Dargan, but it's more S-type than I-type. And then EIS, AEI, AIS. Oh, and the AIS looks more like, it's also more of like an A-type than an I or an S, really. So it looks more humanoid and cool. But like when it comes to just like the EGI types, especially, look very weird and malevolent. They have like floaty pieces to them. Kind of like nightmare fuel. We have some really cool 3D animations of the Esper 4000 done by my friend Dan. They were back for when we were working on like a digital version of the game, like a really long time ago. And it was like some general tests to see what the robots would look like in full 3D. One of these days I'll show those. I gotta show those off, but I have to find them first. Didn't really know what they were doing. Didn't really know what we were going to do with them, but he needed them for 3D practice anyway. They came out really neat. Stretch my arm, stretch my arm. Back in my day, I could draw for hours. Now I still draw for hours, but it hurts. Mostly because I don't really have the most ergonomic workstation. Ever tell you guys the story about how I drew half of the robots in this game over one Christmas? There's a story. So it's Christmas 2013 going into 2014, I believe. And we had this idea that we were going to launch this game at PAX, or actually we were going to launch it in January. So we had 60 robots, and there were like 40, or like 30 something drawn or something. And all of a sudden we needed art for all of them. All the ones that didn't have art needed art, and they needed it pretty much immediately. So I did that, and I drew all of them on one canvas into one Photoshop file, kind of like how you see me doing now. But it was really long, like vertically or horizontally or something. So I was just like drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing to get all these robots done. It was our first foray into ridiculous. We were so young. But we're gonna launch a robot game ourselves. It was really cool. But yeah, we put a lot of work into it. So I was drawing on all one canvas. I'm about to go to bed. And I go and I save. And my computer blue screens because it was running on Vista. And Vista is complete trash. So the computer blue screens while my file is saving, and I haven't, you know, backed up the file at all. So my document that had pretty much all of AEGIS' artwork in general, there was some copies of it, but not from that day. So I had like a whole bunch of other layers, but not from that day, really. So all the work that I did was lost, and it was for dozens of robots. Like probably 20-something robots that I was doing for this game. All I had left were the sketches, which I saved out, luckily, because I was posting them on Facebook or something. So I had the sketches saved. That was good. Those were my bases to work on. So, computer corrupted. I just went to bed. Next day is New Year's Eve. Not New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve. Get up in the morning, sit down, and I just did it all over again. I just drew them all over again. I had the sketches to work off of, and I saved, like every hour, I would save out a completely different copy of the file. Like over and over again. And I drew all these robots roughly over Christmas Eve, Christmas, and the day after. Just like all day. Sit down, draw, sit down, draw, sit down, draw. And this is like before I really knew how to competently use Photoshop. This is actually I remember this. This is the day where it clicked on me. Your brain has a way of like suddenly having things click, make your life easier when you need it to. At least that's how my brain works. That was actually a day I learned about layer masks. Up until then, I had been doing the line art for the robots. Just remember, this is back like 2013. I was like one little bab. And I learned to use layer masks so I could not color outside the lines. Because if you look at some of the really old art, you'll see that I like colored outside the lines. Because I didn't know how. I didn't really know how layer masks work. So my workflow gets extremely streamlined very quickly because my brain is like, no, use that. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but my brain's like, okay. Well, regardless, use that. And I'm like, okay. And so I do. And then, I figured out a whole bunch of things. Race car squid. Maybe it's charging a Hadoken in the middle, in the front with its tentacles. And I messed up my back for weeks because of that. I was in one position in this really awful chair staring down at my computer, and my upper back and my shoulder was completely like wrecked, and it hurt really bad until my friend, who was very strong, just like bear gripped my back with his hands. He just like crushed my nerves back into place. This was like a few weeks later. And that was my experience with that. But yeah, a lot of work, a lot of pain went into making this game. I don't even know who I'm talking to right now. Esper 4000 body pillows. Honestly. Yeah, you like it? I think it looks pretty good too. How many more art updates before the game looks cohesive? I mean, the game looks pretty cohesive now. This is both for my decadence and for... I mean, some of the old robot art is like bad. But slowly we are actually running out of robots to update without being ridiculous. So if I had to count, I think there's only like 4 or 5 more really old robot arts that I would update. Because a lot of them have just generally been updated already. Like just like earlier or a long time ago. And after that, well actually let me think about that. In terms of the 80 robots that were in the original 2 boxes that we were advertising, yeah, there's like, yeah, I mean like 4 or 5 more that I would do. Like both of Etwall's robots, level 1 and level 2, like Geckel, who else? Maybe Esper 300 and Arlie 300, they look kind of bad. But they don't really look as bad. I would probably like just do a quick, I wouldn't even bother redrawing them from scratch. I would just do a quick razzle dazzle and add detail and resharpen all the lines and stuff. Kind of like what I did with the Esper 100. I didn't really show on stream, but man, that robot looks good. Let's see here. Oh, got it. Alright, Kickstarter. I'll show you guys that one real quick. Well, like some of the robots I won't redraw from scratch. I'll just take the old art and I'll just go over it and make it look nicer. So like, yeah, this guy definitely got a little bit of a touch up. Still a little lumpy around some of the edges, but he fits a lot better with some of the newer robots now. But in terms of total redraws, I would probably, yeah, only a very small handful. And then some of the robots that are new, quote unquote, as in they haven't really been in a product proper before. Like a small handful there too. Or they have art, but it could be better. And let's see. Like the the hardest arts are good though. Like the level 3. The level 3s have good art. It's really just some of the level 2s probably that are gonna get the touch up. Like there's some level 2s that really haven't seen much official use. Like they've been tested and stuff. But we have a unique opportunity to show them and share them with you guys. They weren't like, they didn't make it into the game for like base reasons. Like when we were designing the one expansion, back in like 2014, we had like a whole roster of robots. We had 20 slots to fill, and we had a whole roster of robots to use, and this was the Stellar Ascent. This was the Stellar Ascent expansion. We designed and arted probably 25 or 26 different robots to various stages of completion, and 20 of them ended up getting in the final game. So that just left like a few of the other arts in like semi-disrepair. In fact, somebody wants to see something cool. I have some of them right here. So when we were deciding which AGI type would be in Stellar Ascent, we had two different ideas, right? We had the ARK, not the ARK, the Ion. The Ion 5000 is what you got. And there's like, you know, there's the Ender, and get out of here. Yeah, the Ion 5000 what you got. Big man punchy, and you never really see the clogs that he has on, but he totally is like wearing giant pink clogs. And he's just like this big stocky punch robot. But he was being tested right alongside this robot, the ARK-6000, here we go, which is another AGI type robot. And he was kind of a centaur. But he had some similar mechanics to him that ended up on the Ion. So there's your secret exclusive look at some behind the scenes Aegis. We have some robot. This one's art is in particularly disrepair. He's like he got like halfway through being a sketch. But then there's some other ones that are just kind of stuff. Like where's the EI type? Here's some EI types. And you'll recognize Esperiza, but these three other ones were actually done when I was four other ones actually. These four other ones were done when I was exploring EI type designs a very long time ago. They function as designs, but they function as designs, but they're not made to be like final art cards. So like this guy right here, the Ender, what's his face? The Ender 2000, the EI type. He is one of the new level 2s that is actually going in. But he has like some weird perspective issues and stuff. So I'm probably just gonna hack at him with a like the lasso tool and make him look better. That's your example. I don't want to spoil too much, but there's some cool EI types. And that's just for you guys. And anyone else who decides to delve through like 3 hours of this one particular art stream. We have a lot of level 2s for various robots. We have options. So like say if we're gonna say we put that EI type Ender in the game and we're testing him and we're testing him and we're testing him, he doesn't really work out, then we have fallback options that we could use. And all of their art is in kind of a place where it can be jumped on. But in terms of just yeah, straight up art redos, there are not that many left. Dutch shoes. The fresh character silhouette. What are you guys seeing in there? You spoil away. So yeah, I'm not just making stuff up when I say we have other things planned for future expansions. We have a lot of backlog. And like the first level 3s that really got designed, like where's that jerk? Not you. The oldest level 3 art we have is this guy. And he used to look a lot worse. I went over him like before the last Kickstarter, and I like resharpened all of his lines and I fixed a few things. But he was definitely you can still kind of tell he was the first level 3 that we drew. Like I lift up his chest and his face and stuff. But there was this guy, and then original Excelgon art is still holds a place in my heart because I like how clean he came out. But this art has since been replaced by Mong's art. Hahaha. So yeah. But yeah, this one will always hold a place in my heart. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with this, but having Mong push his pose and make him more bulky was the correct choice. And like there's that guy. And then the next 3 level 3 arts that I did were actually, was it those 3 really? It was yeah. So it was just those 2 for a while. And then this guy, Esper 4000, and Get Some were all drawn at the same time. And that's actually right around the time where I started doing the black ink line thing and putting more detail into the robots. So I'm pretty happy with where these guys are. I mean, if I were to redraw them from scratch, they wouldn't end up looking that much different. Actually, I did touch up Arrows with the laser bow here a little bit. I like retouched his face and some details on him to make him look better not so long ago. I think Get Some and Esper 4000 overall look fine. And then there was also this guy, which was released in the original 2 box sets in 2014. This is the Esha, or was the Esha, is the Esha slash. He was ultimate, but this is an EGS type robot. It was ultimately replaced by the Salve. This is another EGS type robot. That was just for I forget what the string of circumstances that led to that, but yeah, these EGS type robots got. We had 2 EGS type robots. There was no room for 2. So this guy got in. Now, where does that leave the Esha? Big giant railgun of the sky? Well, we'll find out eventually. Because I still kind of like his art. He's giant cannon chicken leg. And then when I got to Stellar Ascent, I had to draw 3 more level 3s, and that's where we got the Big Snow, or as my friend calls him, Gangrenosaurus. Then 5000, which will be unlocked at $45,000. EIS type robot, the only one. And then, well, the only one with finalized art. And then Izzy 4000, which is the only AEI type robot that got finalized. Who is very tall. And if I were to redraw this robot, I would make him less tall, because he doesn't properly fit in the card frame in any decent way. But yeah, I would probably redraw this guy just because of the pose, not because there's anything particularly wrong with the art. Yeah, this guy's cool. He has like a laser fork and a whip, and his knees bend both ways. He has turbines all over him. He's actually, I think, the fastest robot in the game. He can kind of go anywhere. He's the fastest, like, ground-based robot. Anyway, back to redrawing. So a lot of level 3s are good, and then all the level 4s end up being drawn right at around the same time as these guys. So their art's pretty okay overall. I would honestly redo some of them. Like, I would redo the Elgelion.